Hi ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus, episode by episode, week by week, for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffith, now Groovy D-Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Bitch George. I'm not doing well this week.
Marvel finally did the thing. The thing we've been asking the entire time on Disney Plus. They released a show, and that show had a sophisticated, well thought out, delivered upon ending.
An ending that I don't think anybody saw coming. What a finale!
We'll get
for
there.
Agatha
We'll get to
All
the end
Along.
of the second episode eventually.
We got 2 episodes to talk about this week. A 2-part finale. Episode 8,
Thank
Follow Me,
God.
My Friend, to Glory at the end. And Episode 9, Maiden, Mother, Crone. Of course, folks, this is full spoilers. It's really hard for me to not just dive right into it.
If this hadn't been a 2-part finale, we all would have rioted.
I said spoilers be damned on the thumbnail for this one, too. But we'll get to that. Of course, folks, this is D Plus Us Weekly, our weekly show about shows on Disney Plus. If you enjoyed this, go and check out our main show where we talk about movies, games, TV shows. This whole episode's coming. We're really bad at recording, so
It happens. We do things when we can.
we are human
Life
beings
is
with
hard.
complicated schedules.
I just gave Griffin a walkthrough of a nursery that's almost complete.
It's very great.
I'm very happy about it. But also, life happens.
We will get that
things
episode
out
out.
when we can.
Also, check out the video version if you're listening to podcast services. Head on over to youtube.com/@DPlusUs to check out our lovely faces, fun backgrounds, and etc., whatever we're doing video-wise at any given point. All that said and out of the way, of course, folks, at the time of recording this and putting this out, we are fairly close to the 2024 U.S. election. Go vote if you have not voted already. As a reminder, folks, go make sure that your voice is heard. This is a big one, as they always are. All rigmarole stuff and slightly depressing stuff out of the way. Let's get to the more depressing stuff. Full spoilers for Agatha All
Before
Along.
we get to the full depressing stuff, you and I talked offline about this leaked Disney Plus Marvel trailer that dropped.
And then
they just tagged it onto the beginning of this episode, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, it definitely is
And
great giving you a
also-
hype of what's coming next for Disney Plus.
But also, we now have overlap between the Skeleton Crew and What If Season 3. What the fuck?
I mean, what if Season 3 is probably going to be a similar release
One
to
episode?
last time? Yeah, 1 episode a day.
We just did one episode at the end, right?
Well, no, I'm saying, yeah, we did 1 episode a day, but I'm saying the release of it on Disney Plus was 1 episode a day.
I think they'll do the
I think
same
they'll
thing
do the same
here.
thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, that trailer alone deserves its own episode. There was so much to talk about from
There's a
that.
lot to unpack in there.
Maybe
Lots
we'll
of
talk.
release windows that are going to shift.
We'll talk a little bit about it at the end. We'll give folks that because I want to
Into
talk
what's
about
coming
this week's episodes because Agatha All Along, Mitch. I think it's safe to say Agatha All Along is to me the best MCU show. I know people really love Loki. I am not
It's
one
going
of
to
those
be
people.
hard for anything to top Loki season 1 for me and most people, but this got damn close.
I think this tops it. You know what else?
This
Who
is
else
your
tops
vibe.
Agatha?
This is your vibe. This is your vibe. I get it.
You just totally
I
missed a
wouldn't
fantastic joke.
That's the thing is, I wouldn't be mad if anyone thought that this was better than Loki, right? Because different strokes for different folks. Whatever, strokes the boat or however. I'm really
Whatever
bad
floats
at
your boat. Are you trying to say that?
Probably, but also daylight savings plus painting all day yesterday plus setting up furniture all day today. You're lucky I'm vertical right now.
Your boat.
Yeah, just stroke your boat. Moving on.
We're a family-friendly show. No, we're not.
No. If someone wanted to say that Secret Invasion was their favorite Disney Plus show, I might have words. I mean, I definitely would have words. The words are you crazy?
I would have
But,
concerns.
Are you okay? Do you need help? But with this, there's just so much thought put into this journey that has very little rooted in existing canon that I thought they did a really great job of introducing characters that have that kind of comics background. I mean, specifically just looking at Billy, more than anybody here. But they always say, or I mean, very often, I mean, if you look back at, I mean, anything but the MCU, really. You look at Star Wars, you look at a number of other, I mean, Lord of the Rings to an extent. The second movie always kills it. And this second part of this 3-part trilogy between WandaVision, Agatha, and Vision Quest, this is Empire. This is Empire for me when it comes to these three. I don't see Vision Quest topping it. I'd love to see it. But honestly, like, this was just...
I'm interested in Vision
Chef's
Quest.
kiss.
Vision Quest I had some concerns because Jack Schaefer is not going to be the person running that one.
I thought she was.
No, she left the project to work on a movie project.
Okay. I'm a little less excited about it now.
I literally just learned that a couple hours ago. So
I was gonna say the last I saw, she was.
Also, I got some
involved.
great. She recently did an interview that I saw, and we got some great stuff to talk about because she really wanted to get a certain character that you and I love into this season of Agatha, and just couldn't. That character being Madison.
Mephisto.
No, Madison.
Mephisto.
Well, yes, but could you imagine if Madison was in this show? Oh, sakes, it would have been amazing.
How though?
Who
That's the
cares?
thing for me.
Well, that's why she didn't end up in the show. It
It would have been the Mrs. Hart equivalent. It just
Yeah, she talked about it in her interview, but alas, this show from start to finish, I think for me is something that was a perfect start to finish. We started the show and it was very much people looking at it and thinking, "Oh, this is the how did we say it at the beginning of the show? It was it's the show for white girls that love Halloween."
Oh yeah, it's the white girl Halloween MCU project.
And by the end of it, this told one of the most nuanced stories in the entire of the MCU, one of the most tragic, one of the most beautiful stories in the MCU.
I would argue the best twist in the MCU, and there were 2 of them.
Rio and Agatha's relationship alone for me is one of my favorite things about the MCU in general. Nonetheless, the twist at the end of episode 8 and all of episode 9 to establish
at least the first 20 minutes of episode 9, yeah.
What is the Witch's Road? It's just perfect for me. The way that Agatha's story ends, and it is it's not ending. We are getting Ghost Agatha now,
which comic accurate, gray hair and all. I'm like,
and she looks great.
I mean, killing off the titular character in a show in the second to last episode is ballsy. I'll give them that. I'm just like, this can't be what? No, what? Who? What? Not what? And they nailed it.
I loved it too, and because it was, I think that moment where she goes and kisses death and accepts can be very much seen as her giving her life for Billy. It's not. It absolutely is not. And I love that so much because Agatha at her heart is still this extremely selfish character. Agatha is a villain. Agatha is not a good person.
Here. No.
We've got 9 episodes now of proof that Agatha sucks.
All you need is the start of episode 9 to know that she's not a good person.
But this moment of kind of just acceptance of her, the person she loves, the situation she's in, all of that.
The eventuality of death coming for everyone. People like to joke. In Canada we joke a little differently where there are three guarantees: winter, taxes, and death. But most people just say taxes and death are the 2.
Taxes.
Yeah. And it rang true here where she just was exhausted, right? She was done. She had done enough running that it was just time to accept the eventuality that she was never going to outrun death and just accept it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this also made me really like the decision more in last week's episode of killing off the Salem 7. So unceremoniously, because they were never the point. Death itself was the point.
That's the problem for me, though. I love this show. It's very clear to this point we both love this show. I get that it was sort of just them planting a false flag, but given they wanted this group to feel like a threat. They didn't do anything to set them up as a threat, and the payoff just wasn't there for me. I understand it needed to happen the way it did to fulfill Lilia's part of the journey, but at the same time, like, I guess there's that piece of it. There's also the fact that, I mean, we find out at the end of this episode, so I don't really feel bad about jumping into spoilers, but Billy's conjuring of the road was driven by fear. It only appeared because the Salem 7 did.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have been there, and it would have gone down the road that Agatha's traveled many times before, because she, created the road.
Yeah, I think it's that wonderful, like, mirroring Billy's powers to Wanda's, where it is like you were able to do this and you had no idea. And there's a lot of really great Billy Wanda mirror moments in episode 8, and a little bit in episode 9. Particularly when, like, he's putting the hood up and walking out of Westview to his Subaru. I think it was a Forester.
Very Wanda.
I don't know, it was just funny of, like, you had Wanda's whole, like, dramatic fly out at the end of that, and Billy just gets in his car and drives off.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, we went through this whole ordeal and nothing's really been resolved, but I've got to take this walk of shame. And he gets into a Subaru Forester and drives off. Like, it's so camp, but in a good way.
Also, I'm just saying that, of course, one of, like, the most queer Marvel shows, the car that they're using it in is a Subaru.
It's a Subaru. Hey, we got that embrace between Death and Agatha. I mean, that was the payoff.
Proud Subaru driver right now here. I will not drive anything else.
You are so Portland.
Look,
like, it's not even funny.
You crash once in a car that's very protected, and you suddenly realize how nice that car is and how safe that car is.
That is far more understandable.
But yeah, bringing it back to this. Yeah, everything from Rio in these couple of episodes is mind-blowingly good to me. The way that they kind of bounce between her using her human face versus her skull face, especially, was such a cool moment for me of, like, she puts her human face on because she cares to show people that side of her.
Well, and it's also to ease their transition, right? Because we see it with Alice, we see it with Nick. Like,
well, see, here's the thing for me, though, is I don't think it necessarily is. For them, those are pre-established relationships. Like, I am convinced that she knew Nikki well before that moment of saying goodbye.
She knew him in the womb, right? Mm-hmm. That was the deal that Agatha struck. We had speculated it was for, like, like Jen had rumored of, traded Nicholas for the Darkhold, but that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. That was one of those nasty rumors that she let people tell about her to build the mythos around Agatha Harkness the witch.
Yeah, I forget what episode it was, but we had that moment where she was like, why do you let them say those rumors?
It was
I want to say it was episode 6 or 7.
No, it was episode 8, where she's like, why do you let them talk to you like this? And it's because the truth is that much worse.
Mm-hmm. So to get it, and it's like, oh yeah, no, the truth is fucking tragic.
Yeah.
Of having this life with this kid, and this kid is a beacon of happiness and joy and goodness.
All right. I mean, we're really going to be focusing on the two twists. So do you want to start with the one from episode 8 or the one from episode 9?
Let's start.
I feel like we got to dive into both of them.
I feel like you can't talk about one without the other, but let's start with 8. Let's start with the Witch's Road being a manifestation of Billy's power.
So well delivered. Like, I hadn't even, the thought hadn't even crossed my mind that he had, tapped into his powers before tapping into them again on the road. But my goodness.
And the fact that it was there the entire time, like after episode 6? Yeah, 6. Like, there was a couple of things there that I noticed of, like, oh, that's just kind of a fun nod to what they're going through now. Particularly with seeing the Wicked Witch in the background and then seeing Agatha as the Wicked Witch in episode 7. It was like, oh, those are fun. It's like, no, this just is how it is.
Yeah. And I, the realization that his subconscious killed a bunch of people is not going to sit well with this kid. Like, that is going to have some repercussions, and it's going to be interesting to see him wrestle with that. Similarly, again, drawing parallels back to his mom's journey of how she dealt with the repercussions of Civil War.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing here is the thing that will make the difference. Like, Agatha is kind of filling into that role that Hawkeye kind of fell into for Wanda. But hopefully, by the end of whatever journey they're about to go on, Billy will have Tommy.
People are talking about a season 2, but I honestly do think that Wiccan's story continues either in Vision Quest or that Tommy is the MacGuffin of whatever they're building towards for Young Avengers.
I think it will continue in Vision Quest. We know we're getting it. They have an unofficial, unnamed teenage role in that.
It only makes sense then.
See, they could do that. My only
That could
concern
also
on
be
saying
like
that is it could also be Viv.
Viv or the other kid.
The other kid who dies.
It really just depends on what's
consequential shit.
No, it really just depends on what story they want to tell. I do hope they don't abandon this thread the way they have seemingly for characters like the Black Knight, like Blade with it falling off the release calendar, which we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. With Shang-Chi, it feels like to an extent where they were trying to set up this big through line through this phase of the MCU and it just fell off the map, presumably a repercussion of, Dustin Daniel Creighton shifting around some of his work to focus on Spider-Man. But at the same time, like...
Well, you have such a big shift with, what's his fuck you play?
Kang to Doomsday, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like, okay, some of these characters don't necessarily make as much sense in that storyline. How do we change things, et cetera, et cetera. What I like about the Young Avengers storyline that seems to have been set up is it's separate from all of that, where it can be its own thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It also would be a very easy way to bring Kang back as somebody else, like, and have it be something separate. There's a bunch they can do with that. But
I don't think they touch Kang for a very long time.
Ultimately, I think it's going to have a set of some of the most interesting characters of the MCU right now, like between Kate Bishop and like where she's currently at of having lost her mom to this crime empire, to Miss Marvel, who is probably in the best place she's ever been in her life, of having Carol Danvers as his mentor and setting up the superhero team, to presumably Billy here, who is like, what the hell do I do now? Like, you're going to have a lot of different people in very different situations that I think is what makes that dynamic interesting.
Yeah, I really look forward to seeing what goes on there. We also it'll be interesting to see if we get any developments for the character of Patriot coming out of Captain America. As well as, we got this recast of Cassie Lang in Quantumania. I don't think they want to revisit much from that, but I wouldn't mind revisiting Stature as part of this team as well.
I was going to say, she was one of my favorite parts of that movie.
One of the most redeemable parts of the entire thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, really, in that movie, it is just that opening of her in jail and then everyone around the dinner table just totally supporting her on it. It's just still so funny to me. Regardless of the point. Everything with the road and how it ended was so good to me. I love this moment as well for Jen. Like, it definitely feels like quickly wrapping up the storyline for sure in a way. But I love that moment of... No, it was Agatha. It was always Agatha.
It was Agatha all along.
Mm-hmm. And it really was Agatha all along. What a great name for the show.
It was perfect. And to have the foresight to make that the center point of Agatha's reveal in WandaVision has only made it mean that much more here. Because you've had years to stew with it, which I think has been really, really fun.
But I'm interested where Jen goes from here. Like, I don't think we're going to see this character anymore, if at all. Like, Jen
popping up will be similar to like a Madison cameo somewhere down the road.
See, I see it more like Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy was pretty involved in Wanda and Quantum.
Well, it's more just like in WandaVision, yeah, and in Ant-Man. But like I'm saying, like she just randomly shows up in something else kind of level.
Yeah,
like I can see her doing that. I could see her being a consult for if they have to do magic shit at some point, like Strange talking to her for some reason about something or
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, I can see
Pops
them
up
using her more.
as helping to open the portal into the dark dimension or something like that.
But like, she's
Or
going,
preparing something to.
the way it is, she's absolutely about to be an acolyte for the Witch's Road.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
like she doesn't know everything that happened with Billy and Agatha at the end there. She was just gone. And it sets her up in this really interesting place. That whole scene of her, like, the unbinding ritual was so good, so perfect.
Again, it's them doing a lot with not very much, right? It was very low res when you look at how these things sort of typically play out in witch dramas, but I think it was to its benefit of like they got really rooted in like the fundamentals of these actors portraying these characters and doing basically improv with very low budget ways of doing things. And I honestly, one of my favorite things in this entire show was due to that budget. And we kind of skipped over it. I want to just circle back to it. The conversation between Rio and Agatha when she comes out of the Iron Maiden from the previous trial, and Rio just walks in up to the background, which is just a backdrop, because they're just filming this with backdrops. It's not like it's infinite CG whatever. But to use the idea that the fact that they did this on a soundstage with traditional props and she just cuts her way out of the scene, I thought was so fucking badass.
And it looks amazing,
like,
too.
Like, go at any point because she is death and she is a fucking G.
I think credit where it's due. It doesn't look like a backdrop until she cuts it.
Until she cuts it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the fun of it. Like, you don't realize a lot of these things when you're watching. Like, it's suspension of disbelief. You're not looking for a backdrop. So when you can use something practical to really drive home the fact that, yeah, she is just an essence of the universe. Like, you can't fuck with death.
Yeah.
And it makes the end of the episode that much more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. I love how fucking dramatic she is at the end of episode 8 of like sitting on the roof waiting for Agatha to come out and just start screaming at her like
full blown Wicked Witch of the West vibes.
Mm-hmm. Then the moment when Agatha, accepts the death. God, that there is some passion behind that kiss. It is so fucking good.
It's a very well acted kiss. That is for sure.
I do find some of the interviews around it hilarious. Of like, I think it was the DP that was like, "Yeah, I had to turn my headphones down when we were filming that." But the way of like she falls back and goes dead, and like the ground just takes her and turns into all of these flowers. It is so beautiful. It is so perfect. I keep saying those words, but it just
and then
encapsulates
you
it.
see in the next episode the grave that she sets up for Nicholas Scratch, and the parallels there, they look very similar to one another.
Yeah, so good. So damn good. The other one I want to talk about, though, before we jump into like fully into episode 9, is that scene of them putting Tommy back.
Yeah.
I love that they're seeing it of their, like, Tommy does not go into a good situation. Tommy goes into a really, really shitty situation.
Yeah, we meet Tommy in the comics and he's in juvie, right?
Yes.
Hopefully they do something similar here.
I really hope so.
I mean, just you hear what Billy says of he doesn't have anyone, so like you got to expect, foster kid of some sort gets into some trouble discovering his powers and ends up in juvie.
Mm-hmm. And like the scene that they're showing for him is like presumably a bunch of bullies drowning a kid. Like,
yeah, that's fucked up.
Like they're not holding back on that. I'm
no, and
shocked.
I mean, Billy, even just like Billy's reaction to this whole thing too of, am I killing him for my own selfish means? Would he survive otherwise? And then he disappears, and Agatha just like, boys die all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the emotion behind that delivery broke me.
Yeah, especially
I've got goosebumps right now. Like Kathryn Hahn, holy crow.
She's amazing. Everyone in this show is amazing, but
she should get an Emmy nomination. She won't because it's Marvel, but she damn well should.
Yeah, she absolutely should. She has one of the best performances, I think, within like the end of episode 8 and really all of episode 9. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, last bits to talk about in 8. Speaking of those wonderful moments, Agatha in the room by herself completing the trial was top notch acting.
Well, I mean, the fear there is real because like she already know. Like it's funny going back. So like I've watched episode 8 and 9 twice, and I actually went back and started rewatching the first couple of episodes. There are a couple times in episode 2 where she breaks the fourth wall and looks at the audience because she knows it's bullshit. She knows the road is bullshit. So when it appears, she stares directly into the camera, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I thought that was so well played out that, like, when she gets to the end of this trial here, she doesn't know what escaping means because this is uncharted waters. Billy isn't here anymore. Like, it should have just ended, but it didn't. So his subconscious was still trying to kill her.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a level of Billy where Billy is significantly more powerful than Wanda.
oh, yeah.
And you kind of see that of like, the road doesn't leave because Billy leaves. The road exists now. It isn't just...
It exists until he gets rid of it.
No, I think the road's still there.
Well, no, he
seals
maybe
it.
under the memorial.
Yeah, I think he sealed the doors. I don't think he got rid of the road. We'll get to that, though. We'll get to that. With episode 9, though, being like that major twist of seeing Agatha's backstory.
It was Agatha all along. The road was Agatha all along.
Part of me really, really wishes we got to see some of that Agatha and Rio stuff ahead of time. And Jack Schaefer did say in an interview, like, we wanted to show more of that. And we also, we knew people were going to like this, but we didn't realize people were going to like this relationship this much.
It would have been interesting to see them like sprinkle some of these flashbacks into other episodes. I do love the fact that episode 8 ends on that cliffhanger with Agatha appearing to Billy and him having this realization that he conjured the road. But I could very well have seen like everything that happened after that was only like 10 or 15 minutes. So like if they had taken the flashbacks and sprinkled parts of it throughout the show and led the viewer to come to this conclusion before the reveal, and then at the end, it's just you extend that episode by like 10, 15 minutes. I think that might have been...
See, I think that would have... I don't think that the twist would have been as impactful, though.
No.
Like, I think you need that impact. And for what it's worth, like, a lot of that is, cutting for time. But also, it is very much like they said, like, hey, if we knew that this was going to be this big, we would have added more. Even still, like, her relationship with Rio is a backdrop to the actual story of episode 9, which is her relationship to her son.
Well, just the opening there is so heartbreaking. Like the idea of death appearing to her when she's giving birth, it's like, oh God, she's going to take my son, and probably was going to take her too. Like she wasn't just there for Nick. She was there for both of them. Mm-hmm. And like the realization that she was sacrificing these witches, and it again, it all ties back. You get your power, I get my bodies. Like that's been their deal the entire time. And the entire reason behind the con was to keep death away. And the one day they don't collect bodies, death comes for Nick.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It is so well done, but like that moment of her like pleading, and it's reverting to calling her my love, and really laying it thick on there of
time.
I truly do love you, but this is my child. I need this. Like, you have to give me a chance here. And only for it, like, she gives it to her. Only for it to be even that much more tragic.
The only thing she could give her was time. And she gave her as much time as she could, but...
Mm-hmm. It comes down to it. I loved it so much. Seeing the way, like... Also, just seeing the way that the song of the Witch's Road was coming together through Nikki was so
the fact that they wrote it and she knew the entire time that it was a farce. And when she tells Billy at the beginning of the show, when she comes out of that spell, the road doesn't exist. She knew that it didn't exist because she made it up.
Well, there's that moment.
Made it, like she does walk the road with her son, and only one survived, right? She's the only one to ever survive the road because her son was taken from
Well,
her.
yeah, I mean, I
Like,
think
it's
up until
just
this moment, we all assumed that she had
layers.
walked the road with Rio. And no, it was her son the
Yeah,
entire
it
time.
was her
It's just
son.
so damn good. There's that moment earlier in the season, I want to say episode 4, where they're like arguing about the lyrics or something to the Witch's Road. And she's
Yeah,
like, she says something about Coven of Two.
Coven two, Coven true, but it was Coven
No, it was
two.
Coven 2 all
'Cause it was
along.
just the two of them. She knew her shit because she wrote the damn thing.
I love it so much, like the way she interacts with Nikki, the way that Death interacts with her, like make sure to kiss your mom twice and you kiss her twice, once for you, one for me.
Oh my god, watching this, it's just it breaks it.
Yeah, it breaks your heart and then forms it back together and breaks it again. Like,
I was gonna say it's too much.
it is. Like I said, I think this is easily the best finale for Marvel. The way that they actually fully landed the ship.
Episode 9 on its own, I don't think is a great finale. What they did right was dropping both episodes at the same time. Episode 8 as a single episode is a great finale. 9 on its own is really just here's 25 minutes of the invention of the road story, of the con, and like 10-15 minutes of Billy and Agatha making up.
Well, I think both of them are the finale. I mean, you don't drop those two episodes together unless it's a 2-part finale.
I mean, you could have stitched them together if they'd really wanted to and gone with like an hour and a half long finale, but either way, I think it was.
But also, there's that moment of the scream,
really well executed.
the scream, and then the cut to credits that is just too good not to use.
Well, just boo.
Yeah, it's
Like we, the audience, if you knew anything about comics, knew Ghost Agatha was coming.
oh yeah, like Agatha more often than not has been a ghost.
Yeah. It's funny though they've gone the reverse, right? Because in the comics she was old, died, came back and was made young, and here she's young, dies, becomes old Agatha in ghost form.
Yeah, she's gone back and forth a few different times. She's currently young in the comics, because of shenanigans.
Because of witchy stuff. It's fine.
Weirdly enough, Midnight Suns. Which is funny because they're fast tracking a Midnight Suns project at the moment. It sounds like for the MCU.
Which I get because Blade is kind of falling apart, but I really would have liked to have seen Blade before Midnight Suns.
Fair, very fair. I hope it works out. I really do. Trying to think of any other major pieces of episode 9 to talk about.
The memorial that he builds in Agatha's basement.
It's sweet. It's a good moment.
It's well because he's guilty. Like he feels immense guilt from killing these 3 people because he didn't mean to do it. It was second degree murder at best, but it's still murder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love him trying to banish Agatha as well, and it's just not working.
It was working. That was the thing. Is you start to see her fade and flicker and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
she couldn't fully go because there was that thing of like, I can't go yet because I will have to face Nick if I go.
Well, it's that she didn't want to go. He could have forced her away. If he had finished the spell, he would have forced her away. But the reason that she has unfinished business is just because she can't face Nikki on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Also, just a fun thing that's been pointed out a bunch, by the way. Did you see that the award for Nick in episodes 1 and 2 is a music
singing
award? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the hell? Why you do this to us, Marvel?
This whole time. The whole goddamn time. I hate it.
Why you take my heart and break it? That's all I want to know. Yeah, I think this show is why I love Marvel. I think a lot of what we've talked about post Endgame is wanting Marvel to do different stuff. Wanting Marvel to kind of explore the range of stories that they can tell with their characters. And I think this is that in the best possible way.
It is the realization of creating a made-for-TV Marvel story. Everything else has had ties back to the comics in one way or another, but the journey on the road, Agatha as a character, like these things had not been explored in comics, and they got to do something here that was new, something that was original, and something that was really well executed on.
Yeah, I still think there's still a ton of basis for this in the comic books. And they pull a lot from it. You know, Agatha originally dies by Wanda's hand. So to have her then, like, no, she technically died from something else, but now she's the mentor to Billy instead of Wanda like she is in the comics. I really love all of that. I love the polls they use. Every single one of the characters that we saw in this, with the exception of Mrs. Hart,
R.I.P.
all have basing in the comics. These are all characters from the comic books. Like, that base is there. These are just uncommon characters. The world of magic in Marvel Comics, aside from Doctor Strange, is not popular at all.
I think, too, it'll be interesting to see how much of this mentorship between Billy and Agatha goes wrong. Because we know in the comics that she was not a great mentor and led to a lot of really crazy shit happening. So it'll be like we've been saying, she's a villain. Like, she's not a good person. She might be trying to help Billy find Tommy, but at the end, she's going to try and use this relationship to push her own agenda. And it'll be interesting to see how that shift occurs, if it occurs, which I hope it does. I hope they stick with this. But it's just one of those things, man. They're building those layers in, and it's really interesting to see them executing on things the way that they are.
Mm-hmm. I'm really fascinated to see what comes of these characters. I can't wait for us to get more. I know we're going to have to wait forever to get more of these two in particular, but
Maybe not. Look at something like, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second. Look at this trailer for upcoming MCU projects. Like, What If season 3? We've gotten
we are getting
What
an
If
Agatha
now
episode.
3.
We are
Yeah,
getting
and
an
we've gotten
Agatha
3
episode.
years of What If back to back to back. So, like, I don't foresee a world in which they'll let these characters, especially, I don't know what the reception has been like. I've really enjoyed this. I hope other people have as well. And hopefully that leads to them wanting to use these characters sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I know viewing numbers have been massive for this show. Well,
Good.
way more than anybody expected for it.
Good.
I'd also know that
Deserves
it's
it.
like it's doing well, very, very well as Marvel's least funded TV show. Which you can see it in it.
Fairly successful critically as well, right? Like, critics seem to be vibing with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that thing of you can never really trust user reviews or
No.
general public reviews at the moment, because most of them at this point are
Why are you pushing a woke agenda? I don't want to see these two ladies kiss on screen. Give me more guns and violence, please.
Which to those people I say, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is Kathryn Hahn and Aubrey Plaza. But
Also, how are you getting to this point and not realizing this is the gayest thing in the MCU?
I would say shout out to like pretty much everything in Billy's room, but especially the Trans Lives Matter flag.
I didn't catch that on my first viewing, and I caught it on this one. I'm like, Billy's a G.
Oh yeah, Billy's fucking great.
Yeah.
Billy's also been like one of the token gay characters for Marvel for some time now.
I hope they do it right here, where it's not, Billy being there for the purposes of tokenization and he's given meaning.
To be fair, he has never been there for the purpose of tokenization. It is just whenever there's a Pride comic or whatever promotion for Pride.
Yeah.
He is front and fucking center alongside America Chavez. It is always those two.
I am very glad as well that, like, I know it was going to be very challenging for them to find an actor that is both gay and Jewish. And I know Joe Locke isn't Jewish, but the fact that they are still trying to get actors into the roles that represent those characters, I think is really, just shout out to the casting at this point, where they're finding ways to represent not only in the characters that are being put on screen, but also in the actors they are finding to portray them.
Yeah, I think like if anyone ever deserves like massive awards for Marvel, it really is the casting department.
Sarah Haley Finn Flynn, I don't remember, has been the cornerstone of this entire MCU thing, and the fact that she hasn't gotten her flowers in the same way as Kevin Feige and co. Like she and her team have absolutely demolished all casting to this point in the MCU.
Yeah, it is so good. I really think I've loved a lot of their casting decisions post Endgame. But man, the use of just everyone in this, I think, is like the cherry on top of the casting of it. Like, It's not just, oh, we're putting Patti LuPone in a Marvel show. It's, no, we're putting Patti LuPone in a horrifically tragic role that is going to shake you to your core, alongside these other amazing actors that are also in the exact same boat.
Also, seeing some of the interviews with Patti LuPone and Aubrey Plaza together just
So
warms
good.
my heart.
It
It's
is the
just
level
like,
of chaos that I strive to be.
yeah, we try to bring chaos here as best we can, but it's not nearly to the level of sophistication of what Aubrey Plaza and Patti LuPone bring to all of the interviews for this series.
Now you see, we are a couple of idiots, and they are Aubrey Plaza and Patti LuPone. We will never beat them. That I feel like that's pretty much a wrap for us on Agatha. I do want to talk a little bit about that the upcoming trailers. Just, oh my god, we are going to be so busy next year.
Yeah. I wonder if it was planned to drop with this, or that leak occurred and they're like, yeah, let's just fucking send it.
Yeah, I got to imagine that they were going to put it out like either after Agatha dropped or somewhat soon, or maybe
As
like
part
right
of the
before
marketing for Agatha finishing.
Mm-hmm. See, I was thinking that, and then the marketing for the beginning of What If.
I like the fact we got an announcement that What If is coming in like 2 months. I think it's crazy, but
yeah.
I called it, and I'm glad we're getting that again the way we did last year. I don't think it'll line up as well with a Christmas episode as it did with Happy Hogan tries to escape Stark Tower, aka Nakatomi Plaza.
I was gonna say you're not gonna beat a Christmas episode in a way of let's do a Christmas episode that's just straight up Die Hard.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think it's.
And while I
wild,
don't
though,
love
that
the
next year we're
animation,
getting,
I'm very curious to see what stories they're telling this season.
It's wild to me that we're getting Marvel projects like pretty much every month except for 3 next year, and it doesn't feel like they're overdoing it. To me,
it will. It will.
Like at the moment, it does, just because we have 3 animation, 2 live action shows. No, 3 live action shows.
I was gonna say.
And then the movies. Like, What If is going to be real quick, and it's not even technically next year. But Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I don't know if we know how long that show's going to be. The little bit we did see in that trailer, though, gives me a lot more faith in that show. To the tone and the vibe of it, like having that very comic booky vibe to it, I think is great. I mean, we knew Daredevil was going to be amazing. And I think everything we've seen from it just proves that point.
The only worry I have with Daredevil is the fact that this season or this show was, it was pitched as an 18 episode season, and now we're getting 2 9-episode seasons. I worry we're not going to get the level of payoff with season 1 that most people might be looking for. But going in,
I don't think we're going to get the full
I'm still
season.
hoping I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the full story in season 1, but I don't think we need to.
But I want it to feel like a complete story and not that it's just setting up what's going to happen in the second season. Like, there needs to be some payoff in that first half.
I think they got plenty to pay off in that first season. They've got the
I hope so.
storyline.
That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Fisk is mayor, or running for mayor. I think
running for mayor. I think, yeah.
Mark my words. My prediction now: Fisk is running for mayor in season 1 and is mayor in season 2.
I would say he's definitely mayor by the time we get Spider-Man 4.
I think he becomes the mayor in the finale of season 1. That's just my prediction now.
That probably lines up, especially that. It could be that, and also the revelation that he's kind of been playing Matt with their supposed team up to try to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then that'll be interesting.
Ironheart, I think, is the weak link here. I'm very excited for it. I love Riri. But it does feel like the weak link amongst these.
See, for me, it's zombies.
See, here's the thing for me, though. Is Eyes of Wakanda and Zombies are in the same boat for me. If these are both 4 episodes each. They are short and to the point. We could just get on with it, have fun, and move on. Ironheart has a little bit more meat to it that has me concerned.
Yeah, what I'm most excited about is this battle between tech and magic. And I think Anthony Ramos is a great actor to bring the Hood into the MCU. So it's going to be very interesting to see how those 2 worlds collide. And I think these 2 actors have the pedigree to really duke it out in this show. And that's what I'm most excited to see is just how they act, how Riri and Anthony Ramos as the Hood act against each other in this show.
Mm-hmm. I hope they don't do the thing where they kill off the Marvel villain at the end of the series. I really hope we get Anthony Ramos to stick around as the Hood, because the Hood is such a fun character that is so very weird. Easy to power scale to a single person versus a full team versus, Mob Central in New York City. There's been a few of those storylines.
Yeah, it could very be low-level New York City. It could be Thunderbolts territory if they wanted to go that route after the outcome of that film. There's a lot of places they can take a character like that, so I hope it isn't a one and done, to your point.
We got to talk about the funniest part of this entire thing, though. It's the fact that
Trevor Slattery is back!
Well, not even that. The fact that it's like no proper announcement. Wonder Man's just in the trailer.
Good.
The Marvel project that they have never said anything official about, but if just everyone's leaked everything about it already.
I love the title treatment. That logo is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I think Marvel Disney Plus content next year is going to be fantastic. We are getting a lot, but I think it is spaced out and varied enough that it's going to stay interesting. Will we be burnt out by the end of the year? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes. But will we have a good time doing it? But we will absolutely have a good time doing it.
And the other thing with Wonder Man is that's another Destin Daniel Cretton project.
Oh, is it?
Dude's just taking over the... he's show running and directing the first 2 episodes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's just taking... It's him and the Russos are the only one that Feige wants working in the MCU at this point.
And Jack.
Pete. Yeah, and Jack. And... Who... I feel really bad now. Who's directing Fantastic Four?
Who
did direct the
Matt Shakman
thing?
No, that's the old one.
Matt Shakman.
Matt Shakman.
Is it Matt Shakman?
Yeah, he's directing. Because he directed WandaVision and is now directing the upcoming Fantastic Four.
Who am I thinking? Who did Spider-Man? John Watts.
Webb? I'm thinking Webb from Amazing Spider-Man.
And Mark Webb?
Mark Webb, yeah. I mixed up John Watts and Mark Webb. So John Webb is now a person in my mind. Yeah, I think...
so that's where I got crossed. He was originally directing Fantastic Four before Matt Shakman.
Right.
I knew there was a Spider-Man connection there.
Look, everything that's coming soon, I think, is awesome. I can't wait for all of it. I'm excited for the movies next year. I really think Marvel is in a great, great place going forward next. Now, will all those projects hit? Well, that's a future thing. But
we'll find out if Disney's more about all of what John Watts can bring to their universes when he is the showrunner for Skeleton Crew, which will be the next weekly thing that we talk about.
Which we'll be talking about in a month. That's right, folks.
What?
Yeah, it's in December.
It's November?
Yeah. I wish that was picked up. That wasn't picked up by Discord. Damn it.
What, me saying shit?
Yeah. It was just a good moment.
That was.
Yeah. That in a month. It is now November. Of course, folks, we will be back with the weekly show for Skeleton Crew.
It drops the day after my son's due date.
We may not be back for Skeleton Crew.
You might need to just grab Nick and do this one without me. We'll see.
Yeah.
Or we're recording at 3 a.m. It's up to you.
3 a.m. with breaks. Oh, no. I might actually have to edit this film.
Sorry. I mean, we can just leave the breaks in there. You can just vamp while I have to go and do dad stuff.
Look, sometimes the vamps are good. Sometimes my vamps are real bad.
You mean like this one?
This isn't one of them, but this is a conversation. We're just chatting at this point.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, though, well, let's wrap this thing up, folks. Thank you very much for hanging out with us as we'll be going through Agatha All Along. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Mitch, if people want to keep up with us until the next series, where can people find us?
At D plus us on YouTube. If you're not already there, is the best place to catch us, see our faces. And the weird things we're talking about. We should probably use social media more, and that's on me. And I'm going to try and correct that. And you're going to get a lot of bleary-eyed random thoughts from me at 4 a.m, which is going to be great for everybody. So that'd be Twitter, X, which it's not. It's Twitter, and it will always be Twitter. Fuck you, Elon Musk. D plus us in all those places. Griffey Dpad, GRIFFIDPAD, at Mr. Mitch George, MR Mitch George, on all the platforms. And on your social podcast feed of choice, please do the thumbs up and the stars and the reviews and let folks know that you enjoy listening to us. There's a bottle of Pedialyte behind me that's almost in view when I let the NVIDIA broadcast blur see it. You can kind of just see it over the back of my head
Just
there.
barely. Yeah, you got that
Just
blur
barely.
going though, so.
I'm going crazy here. This is gonna be fun. You thought I was delirious and absent-minded before. Just wait until we get to Mufasa.
Oh dear God, I forgot about that movie. Anyways, folks, we will see y'all in the next episode of this show, or the regular show if you're watching that. But until then, thank you for watching and have a magical day.
And a very spooky Excelsior.